So mistake 4 is avoiding difficult conversations and not having that conversation with Kevin, right? And that is corrosive to the culture, you're saying, and I think absolutely right.
Again, it's practice, practice, practice. The other thing is the hard conversation aren't nearly as hard in the moment. So we're in a meeting. You and I have been talking for the last month, and you've been telling me you think this decision is crap, and you don't think people are thinking about it very much. And we go through the meeting. It's a whole hour. I say to you in the moment, how come you haven't said anything? Did we change your mind? Right? I'm not going to let you off the hook. Everybody knows you disagree. So is that having a hard conversation that's going to make everybody upset and leave you reaching for the Kleenex? No, I'm just going to say, look, dude, if you want to be heard, speak.
Yeah.
Right?
This is really important. Yeah. There is a lot of subtlety and nuance and fine lines here, so I want to speak precisely if I can. There is, I think, an overcorrection towards the thing Yaniv mentioned, psychological safety, around safe spaces, around like not having frank and honest conversations.
To my point, just to very quickly interrupt, Chris, psychological safety has been abused as a term. People use it to mean something other than what it means.
Well, that's exactly what I'm saying, which is all of these terms and all of their sponsoring thoughts, the pendulum has swung to a degree where there aren't forthright conversations. There is sometimes a diminishing of meritocracy. There is a lack of radical candor, which is corrosive to productivity and making hard things happen in the world. And so, again, I'm trying to be careful here because there are some of these things, or many of these things that have come from a good place and have a kernel of essential truth to them, but that we need to be balanced in those things and make sure we're driving to a mission, driving to an outcome together, right?
I would say intent is 90% of this, right? I wish that I hadn't stole the term radical candor like I did. Although I was talking on my podcast yesterday with somebody who said, if you hadn't added the adjective radical, it wouldn't have been as emotional. Because I want to say, just be honest, right? And if I'm honest with you, and you know that the reason I'm giving you this feedback is that I want you to be the best you can be.
Yeah.
And you know that that's the reason why I'm doing it, you're going to be more open to hearing me. The second thing is, people think that giving people feedback means telling them something they did wrong and making them feel kind of shitty, but saying it in a way that's kind of nice so that their feelings won't be hurt. And we won't really want to do that, right? And so we do have all this stuff around it. And when this whole psychological safety thing happened, Yaniv, I had dinner with Reed, and I'm like, could I survive in this world now, right, where I have to be careful about everybody's feelings? He's like, no, we'd fire you in a hot minute. Like, because I'm not, no one's ever called me touchy or feely. I mean, I would say, Yaniv, does that make sense to you? It doesn't. Okay, well, then don't do that stupid thing. Okay, there we go.
When I have teams that I'm very comfortable with and we're good at having fun with each other, I'll sometimes say, yeah, can you do that again, but not shit?
Yeah, right, exactly.
But what you're talking about there, though, I want to just make that clear, is candor is not being an asshole. Candor is being forthright, but in a diplomatic...
with a solution. Again, my whole thing is a whole philosophy. Okay, well, if I say not shit, you better tell me what not shit is.
Yeah, I'm joking when I say...
Right? I know you're joking, but the point is, a lot of times, that's all people get. They walk away and go, he just called me shit.
Let me challenge that a little bit, Patty. It's a challenge and a question to you, really, because being told it's shit is not great, but it is better than not being told it's shit. It's better than being told it's good. Feedback is hard enough to deliver that people are naturally inclined not to deliver it. If you then raise the bar and say, not only do you have to say it wasn't very good, but explain exactly what you need to do to make it better, then you're raising the bar high enough. And it might just be like, you know what? It's too hard. Like, I can't quite put my finger on why it wasn't good. It just wasn't that good, you know? Like, try again.
Then you should try it, right? I mean, so let me give you another counter. Here's a tip. Here's another way to really get great performance by giving someone feedback. Okay, you listening? Everybody take notes now. Find somebody doing something right and tell them.
Yeah.
Whoa! Whole concept here. Okay, so like the radical candor feedback, the giving people negative feedbacks, like that bad thing that you did, that was bad, Yaniv. That was, you know, it was bad. That was shit. If you do that again, you are going to be in such big trouble. And the next time you do it, because you will, you'll feel bad. It's guilt tripping. We all do it if we have kids, right? But here's another one. Oh my God, in the meeting, Finally, Chris, thanks for speaking up, because I knew that you disagreed with this, but I didn't ever really understand why. I really appreciate you saying that today. When I knew that it was hard for you, right? And you know what you're going to do? You're going to do that again.
That's right.
Because I didn't say you could have done it differently. I said, in the moment that you did it, yes, that's exactly what I'm talking about. And not only have I given you great feedback, I've given the whole team feedback about what to do right. And it's not like it's impolite not to say thank you. It's really powerful to say thank you. It's really powerful. But the secret to the great feedback is in the moment, in the moment, in the moment. Any feedback, the closer you can get to when it's happening, the more powerful it is, more impactful it is if it's positive, and the more you'll get a correction if it's negative. Okay, that was probably not the optimal way you could have done that. Try this instead. And then, by the way, don't forget that you gave that person that feedback. And then when they try it again. So I remember, I don't know, we were early in the company and Reed was an asshole about something. I mean, he was in everybody's shorts. He was micromanaging everybody. He was a big pain in the butt, right? And it became this legend. Remember when, you know how he is. He always does this. And, I was listening to a whole bunch of people doing this. I'm like, oh, for God's sake, we gave him the feedback. He's been working really hard not to do that. That happened 2 years ago. Let it go. I mean, I know it's the stuff of legends, but Jesus, let him make a new mistake. So be good at it. Practice it, practice it, practice it, practice it.
Speaking about hard conversations, I'm curious about this. I just saw Jensen Wong talk about this idea that he criticizes his team in public, in front of everybody. He has like 60 direct reports or something. I was always taught this principle of criticize in private, compliment in public. And he was talking about, no, he will call somebody out, correct them, and instruct them about the error in logic that they've made so that his whole team can learn how he thinks and to correct their behavior.
We did that too, but it was much more egalitarian than that, right? It wasn't just that Reed got to do that and the rest of us went, oh, I hope I don't get in trouble next time. Our feedback to each other as a leadership team was a thing we did in person, out loud, where we would go around the room and do a thing called stop, start, continue.
Mm-hmm.
Here's an example in my book from our CFO. Okay, so Yaniv, you are such an incredible business person. Your thinking is really complex and interesting. I really love that. I want you to keep doing that. But I'd like you to start sharing it with other people, right? Not just having these conversations with the finance team, but go hang out with the engineers and tell them about how you're thinking about financing and stock buybacks or whatever it is. I think that the way you're thinking is really interesting. And I'd like you to stop being such a moody asshole, because it's really hard for people who need something from you to not know what kind of mood you're in.
Yaniv, she's really got your number dialed in here. This is great.
Well, so this is something that really happened, right? And he said to me, Patty, you just don't like me. And I'm like, no, I like you fine. It just makes me crazy when you do this. And somebody else in the room said, actually, I've calculated how much it costs when 4 of my directors have to come to you for something that only you know, but they have to spend a half an hour deciding who's going to decide if he's in the mood to tell us or not.
Wow.
And she's like, and I calculated their salaries and the time they did that. And so you're costing us money. And he was like, oh. And so at his next all hands team meeting, he said, I've been giving some feedback that actually I've got most of my life. And somebody has to be brave enough to go, you're really unapproachable right now. Is there a better time for me to come back?